morning and welcome back to Story Time with Mrs. Harrigy. I'm Mrs. Harrigy. The book we will be reading today is Raggedy Ann and Andy and the Magic Potion. One fine spring day, Raggedy Ann and Andy walked to the Looking-Glass Brook in Happy Meadow. Suddenly, a puff of wind snatched Raggedy Andy's hat from his head. Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy chased it, but every time they came close to catching it, another gust of wind blew it beyond their reach. The Raggedys soon grew too tired to chase it anymore. They sat down and watched the wind toss the hat this way then that way. "I think your hat is the only thing the wind is playing with," Raggedy Ann said. And it was true. The grass beneath the hat didn't move, and neither did the leaves on the trees above it. "Then how can we ever catch it?" moaned Raggedy Andy. Just then, the Raggedys heard a low, rumbling laugh. It was Grandpa Hoppy Toad. Grandpa Hoppy Toad held up a small glass bottle. "I have something here I think will help you," he croaked. "It's a special potion. With one drop, you'll be able to see all the magic folk of the meadow. Then you'll see what's happening to Raggedy Andy's hat." Raggedy Ann laughed. "That's wonderful! But with our mouths painted on, how can we take the potion?" Grandpa Hoppergrass leaped from the grass beneath them. "I have an idea." He told Raggedy Ann to lean her head down to him. With a quick flick of his back leg, which was like a tiny saw, he cut a little hole in her mouth. Then he did the same for Raggedy Andy. Neither of the Raggedys felt a thing because their heads were stuffed with soft cotton. Grandpa Hoppy Toad squirted magic potion into the holes. Aunt Sophia Spider, who was spinning a web nearby, sewed up the hole neat and tidy. The magic worked right away. "Oh!" cried Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy together, for now they could see all the magic folk plain as day. Here on the water, a pair paddled a leaf boat. There beneath the mushroom slept a tiny old fellow with a long white beard. And there, pulling Raggedy Andy's hat this way and that, flew the prettiest winged damsels they had ever seen. Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy laughed at the trick the flying magic meadow folk had played on them. As the magic meadow folk flew the hat back to Raggedy Andy and Raggedy Ann, spied a little man dressed in brown from his acorn cap to his oak leaf shoes. Every so often he jumped up and kissed an orange-red tiger lily. Each time he did, he left behind teeny brown spots. Raggedy Ann clapped her hands. "So you're the one who decorates the lilies." The little man winked. "You guessed it. My kiss gives the ladybug her spots, too, and the speckled trout his speckles, and the baby birds their patchwork feathers." Raggedy Andy's eyes twinkled. "I bet I can guess another kind of spot his kiss leaves behind. Freckles." Raggedy Ann laughed. "Surely all the little boys and girls who hate their freckles will like them better once they know a magic kiss made them," she cried. Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy walked farther into the meadow to see what other magic folk they could meet. Hand in hand, they followed the path through the waving grass and delicate flowers. Suddenly they heard a frantic buzzing sound. "It's Helen Honeybee, collecting nectar for her basket," Raggedy Ann said, spying their busy friend. "She sounds upset." Raggedy Andy said, "Come on." "Oh dear," hummed Helen Honeybee. "I think I hear a voice calling for help, and I can't see anyone. Do you hear or see anything?" The third Raggedys listened very carefully. Thanks to the magic potion, they could hear the voices too. "Help, help me," it cried. They searched high and low. Suddenly, Raggedy Ann picked up an acorn. "The voice is coming from in here," she cried. Raggedy Andy held the acorn to his ear and listened to the small voice. "Look," he said, pointing to a small hole filled with pine needles and mud. "Whoever is in there is trapped." "Oh, what will we do?" Raggedy Ann said, looking at her mitten-like hands sadly. "We don't have fingers to pull the pine needles free." "Let me help," Helen Honeybee said quickly. She used her 6 strong legs to dig the hole clear. Out popped the tiniest little boy they had ever seen. He was dressed head to toe in soft white daisy petals. "Thank you," the wee child said. "I have been shut up in that acorn all morning. I am so hungry and thirsty." Helen Honeybee gave him her basket of nectar to drink. The boy gulped it all down in one swallow and handed the empty basket back to Helen. Helen gave a small sigh, for though she was happy to have helped the boy, it had taken her 2 days to collect that nectar. "Who put you in that acorn?" Raggedy Andy asked. "I did," a voice behind them said angrily. "Who told you could let him out?" The Raggedy's, Helen, and the Daisy Child spun around. It was Snoopy Doojiniper, the witch. The little meadow boy clung to Helen Honeybee. "Don't let her put me in the acorn again," he cried. Now, Mrs. Snoopy wasn't very big, but she was mad. She swatted at Helen Honeybee with all her might. Then she gave a yelp. "Ow!" the witch cried. She flapped her hands in the air and danced around in circles. Helen Honeybee pulled out her sewing kit and peeked inside. "Just as I thought," she said. "My sharpest sewing needle is stuck in Mrs. Snoopy's finger." Mrs. Snoopy sat with a thump on the ground. "Can't you pull the needle out?" she asked the Raggedys hopefully. "Tell us why you shut the little meadow boy in the acorn first," Raggedy Ann said. "He was swimming in my clam shell of rainwater," the witch replied, "and he didn't ask me if he could play in it." Raggedy Ann laughed. "Is that all?" She turned to the teeny boy. "Do you promise never to swim in Mrs. Snoopy's clam shell again, unless she says you may?" The little child nodded. "And do you promise never to lock up another one of the Magic Meadow folks in an acorn again?" Raggedy Ann asked the witch. "I promise," said the witch. "But what about my finger?" Raggedy Ann carefully put the tiny boy on the ground. Helen Honeybee buzzed forward to Mrs. Snoopy's finger. She took hold of the sewing needle in her strong legs and pulled it free. "Oh, thank you," Mrs. Snoopy said. "How can I repay you?" Helen Honeybee picked up her empty nectar basket. "You can help me fill this up again." The Raggedys laughed. Out of nowhere, Magic Meadow folk appeared, shimmering damsels darting to and fro, tiny old men and women wearing mushroom hats to keep off the sun, and a parade of leaf boats on which floated 50 baskets. "We'll all help you," the meadow folk cried happily. So the Raggedys and the new friends spent the rest of the day frolicking in the meadow and filling basket after basket with nectar. Thank you so much for reading with me. Please like this video and subscribe below. I hope to see you all soon, and I hope everyone is happy, safe, and healthy. Bye-bye.